Yes, so network effects are one of the main reasons that you might have a winner take most market. So, the interesting thing about network effects is that people often have the wrong thing in mind when they hear the word network effects. So, when people say network effects, I'll speak to an audience, I'll say, well, can somebody tell me what a network effect is? And an audience member will raise their hand and say, well, that's when there's word of mouth and the users you bring in other users. And I say, well, that's a good answer, but that's virality. And people often confuse virality with network effects. Both of them are very important for blitzscaling, but they confuse virality with network effects because virality takes place by leveraging the network. But the network effect actually means that as the number of members in the network grows, so as the number of customers or users of the products grows, then the value of the network to each individual user or customer increases. Now, that's a very subtle thing. It sounds very simple, but it actually has some significant implications. The first is that because you're multiplying the increasing value per user by an increasing number of users, now you're talking about exponential growth of value. And that's how these companies grow so valuable so quickly. That exponential growth of value drives that value very quickly into the billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions. But the other key thing is, as the value of the network to the individual increases, you eventually get to the point where you lock in permanent market leadership. And that's because if you get to a certain point and the network effects are strong, a competitor can come into the marketplace, clone your product exactly, offer it to the market for free, and still not get any traction. And that's because the majority of the value is now coming from the network, not from the product itself. And that's how you're able to maintain that sustainable success over decades. The example I always give of network effects is if you look at Craigslist, which is a product that has not changed since 1996. The power of the network effects implicit in Craigslist mean that that business still generates $1 billion a year in cash. So while you may not necessarily feel like you're going to take 20 plus years off and not change your product during that time, wouldn't it be nice to have that option?